Nothing that we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here, 8:30 a.m. EST Friday. And, it's hard to say if it's going to be a big or small day today. There's a few news events today. We got some Canadian news coming out and some other items. I'm looking at the NASDAQ right here, and 19,000 is an important place. And this is going to affect also greatly what Bitcoin does. In times like this, Bitcoin has decoupled a bit. Bitcoin did have some pretty strong bullishness that was kind of packed up and ready to go. So we did see Bitcoin make a strong move up. However, it was coincidental with the NASDAQ. If I just overlaid Bitcoin onto the NASDAQ, then you would see it right here. And you can see that the two coincided, but Bitcoin did push up sooner just because it had a lot more bullishness kind of stacked up. But just the same, NASDAQ is a far, far bigger market. And so the NASDAQ is going to have a lot to do with what Bitcoin does. In this particular case, Bitcoin led the move up, but I think that's just because of a technical move with Bitcoin. You see how it had kind of stayed lower for longer and then it pushed up for longer. So it's just a bit of a technical difference. But at the moment, you can see the NASDAQ is pushing down here while Bitcoin's heading up. So we're just seeing a lot of the residual bullishness play out with Bitcoin. And we'll get into the chart on that one. It's at 94,600. In the meantime, with the NASDAQ, we have to keep our eye right here on 19,000. Really, it's more like 19,500. Right? And the reason this all matters is because you can see back here, price tried to break this twice and was rejected. In fact, you could almost look at this attempt to break 20 as part of that. Back during the panic time last week or two, we had this attempt to push above 20, swiftly, soundly rejected due to news, tariff news, I believe. And then the last few times price attempted to break 19,000, it has been rejected over and over again. Now is technically above 19, but what we're seeing is that price made its way there and then now started to arc down. So let me take a brief look at the actual algo screens. We're going to see what's going on as far as the general look. And I can tell you this is on the 3-hour. Price is not going to go up just yet unless there is major news. The market does open in another hour. So if there's major news, of course, that can make anything happen. But the higher time frame still has a bit of bullishness left, but that's in a greater bearish streak, right? So let's take a look at the monthly. This is not a good, or just say not a bullish trajectory, right? This move down is going to pull everything down with it. And this is not just the NASDAQ, it's the Dow, it's the SP 500, it's all the stocks and indices. It's all to do with a few things. Tariffs are having a major effect on that, but this actually started with DeepSeek and NVIDIA losing like $1 trillion or $2 trillion in their market value within a short time. So this entire move started with other items here and has been continued down with the tariffs. This trajectory is strong, but you can see the market is fighting to gain back what it lost. And a lot of that has to do with news and the softening of tariff talk and things like that. It was 26% down from the highs. Now it's 14% down from the highs. So roughly it's made back about half the money it's lost. And there's a fair amount of bullishness left on the weekly. However, that monthly time frame is still pretty bearish. So there's a lot of things that could happen here. And let's go to the weekly chart on the NASDAQ. And again, we're looking at this because, look, here's the thing. I've got a lot of crypto-centric people watching this, and that's fine. I trade Bitcoin. I'll trade Solana here and there. Bitcoin's pretty good to trade, but it's never going to be as good of a way to trade as, say, like a Forex market or any of these indices right here. Way more predictable, way less scammy. Look, if you want to buy and hold crypto, I think that so far, I know for a fact, so far, that's been an excellent strategy. Bitcoin and the rest of crypto has really, really expanded in price over the years, way, way more than pretty much any asset out there. This is something that's hard to argue against. But if you want to trade, if you want to do short-term trades, I haven't had as much success trading crypto. I'm good at it, I'm doing it for years. But because I'm good at that, it's like carrying a 100-pound pack. And then when I went to the Forex market, it's like now I'm just carrying a 50-pound pack. It's just way easier to trade that. So you can trade something like Forex or these indices and take that money and buy whatever you want. You can buy crypto with it or real estate or gold, what have you. And that is my strategy. So back to the charts here. Now, the question really is going to be, is there enough bullishness left in this chart for a break of 19 and then maybe a test of 20,500 and maybe some ranging, or who knows what happens after that? Or is it going to reject and not be able to break 19 and a half? And we see another move down. Now, I think a lot of this is going to do with news. I think if we get some softening on the tariff talks, that's going to be a key clue right there for you. All of a sudden you hear, and there has been softening on tariff talks. I'm telling you already, it's in the rumor mill, and not so much the rumor mill. There have been very clear intimations by the leadership that the tariffs, even with China, are going to be softened. They've been softened, already they've been softened, but there's talk of deals being made and already having been made, and there's all kinds of talk. Now, as it actually happens, this probably will pop up and start testing higher levels. Remember, the NASDAQ top is only at 22,450. It's not that far away from 19 and a half, which is basically what we're bumping our heads against. Now, as this happens, it's going to affect Bitcoin, and let's talk about how that's going to happen, right? Or how it could happen. Miko, my chart's not working, huh? Oh, well, I appreciate that. Interesting. All right, oh boy, that's going to be tricky. Let's do this. I appreciate the heads up, my friend. Yeah, let's do this. Yep. Okay. Gonna have to restart my camera and stuff. Give me just a moment. Okay, you'll be able to hear me for the moment, at least you should. But I'm gonna have to restart that business. Okay, it should be coming through now. Apologies for that. I'll briefly go over what I just said because it's important. If you want to know what's going to happen to Bitcoin and anything else, the NASDAQ is going to be key. So let me just start the camera here. Okay, you should be able to see me now. Anybody who is watching, just let me know. See and hear me now? ? Just threw a note up in the comments. Okay, is it fixed now? Awesome. Thank you for everybody watching. Everybody, I really appreciate that. Yeah, 5x5. That's right. All right. So, look, briefly here. The question's going to be, and it's going to be very news and tariff dependent. Will the NASDAQ break 20,000, or will it dump and not be able to break 19, right? So will it break 19? If it does, will it test 20? If it does, will it break 20? Or will it reject the 19? And that's going to do with tariff talk. And word is that tariffs are going to soften, but you know what? It's real tricky right now because there are some theories about it, but what a lot of people expect and what really happens are two different things. So we got to be careful with that. Let the charts, let the algos be your guide. If the news happens unexpectedly, it's just going to be what it is, and it's going to create more trades later. This is trading, right? If you're going to trade, you're going to run into news, and news may help you or hurt you in the middle of a trade. It can actually take you to a nice win. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, a lot of residual bullishness left. Now, though it was the weekly on Bitcoin that was bullish, and it continues to defy gravity. And so we want to know what that's going to look like. And I'm just taking a quick peek at the algos here. And I can tell you that almost everything's bullish except for the very high end. The monthly still has a lot of concerns left. But what I will say is that based on what I'm seeing, there's a real good chance that even the monthly could flip, and we might see Bitcoin go back into its move up, its big move up, right? So if I were just to simply do a Fibonacci extension on this is a 382 pullback. And if I were to just strictly trade on a 382 pullback, I would have entered earlier, but I could enter the breakout and put a stop loss, a little bit more shallow. And you're looking at a move up to 99,000 for the higher target for the 618 extension. For your 272, that's going to be at about 96.5. You know what, El Nino? V the Gorilla is back. Okay, so he actually had an issue with his computer and wasn't able to come on the last few days, but he's actually been back and ready to work the last couple of days. So I half expected to see him this morning. Looks like we may not. A lot of times he only comes on for the private live lab, but V is going to do a show today with Velas. So, yep, he's going to be back today. Jet Blake himself has been real busy. He comes in once in a great while. CJ is doing his own thing. Gus is supposedly coming back. But Jet was on like a few weeks ago. He actually did a show, and he doesn't do them too often anymore. He kind of goes underground for a while at times. But he'll be back anytime. He'll be back today for Velas at 11 a.m. supposedly. That's the case there. Looks like my screen froze again. We're having issues with the screen freezing. All right, let's go ahead and fix it again. Okay, let's go to what a pain in the butt, man. Restart the capture. Yeah, why does it do this? Let me try something like this. No, don't want to do that. I'm just going to try to do a workaround here. Okay. It's not quite as clean. I'm going to try to, because when I do this, it comes out better. Just give me a second to fix this. You might have to do a little bit longer of a show today because of this stupid issue. Yeah, hold on. Man, what a pain in the butt. I don't know why it doesn't like this. Yeah, right. That's the thumbnail. The little joke in the private chat here. Let's do window capture. No. Yeah. What a pain in the butt, man. All right, let's try this again. Hold on. Apologies for all the technical stuff today. It is what it is. And you should still be able to hear me. And let's go back on here. Okay, well, we should be back again. I don't know what's going on with the screen right now, so I might have to reload the software there. Yeah, El Nino, have fun up in London. That's one of my favorite cities, or it was, at this point. I'm afraid that London's a place that might not like me too much. This is what it is. All right, so again, let me know if this screen is working. It should be working. We're going to move on back to the conversation. So look, Bitcoin's got a lot of liquidity sitting at 96,000, a lot. And that has to do with past price action, right? So it dug into this little bit of liquidity I marked out yesterday, and it's probably going to head up to 96 as long as the NASDAQ remains relatively bullish or even stable. There's a good chance Bitcoin's just going to continue to head up. And that's just because, like I said, it had some really long-term built-up bullishness. Go to the daily here. It bounced right off of 76. And I talked about this like a month or two ago. 76,000 was an important level just based on pure market structure, right? So if you look at this on the daily, going back to the beginning of 2024, that high in 2024, the all-time high, and it was the first time an all-time high in Bitcoin happened prior to the halving. When it came back down, it just bounced off that high, which was the most likely place for it to bounce, or at least to go to, and really to bounce. So that's what it did so far. Now, there's a long way to go to get to the all-time high. But if you're just looking at this trade from a simple Fibonacci extension standpoint, your first target's going to be right above 96,000, like 97. And your second target would be up at 99,000. But that's a pretty big stretch. Bitcoin's known to do these things. And another thing that's very, very common for Bitcoin is known to punish the shorts, right? People who try to short Bitcoin in the bull, oftentimes they end up just getting torn a new one. So you got to watch out for that, everybody. Got to watch out. I'm going to go ahead, and I know we went a little over because we had some technical issues, right? So first of all, if you're watching this, and even if you are not an Algo Factory member, you have the right and capability to ask for charts, right? Even if it's stocks, it doesn't matter what it is. I chart gold, I chart it all. I don't trade at all. I mostly trade Forex. And so there's a lot of Forex trading on this channel, and I will trade some crypto here and there. I might branch into other things, but when you have a market that it's like, why change anything? So either way, we're going to go ahead and first of all, get your free algo here. Links in the description. Go in the description and you click on that link, send us your email. I will send you back a free algo and also some weekly updates for the markets and things like that. Also, one more thing is that we are going to do some free workshops. You're going to watch me trade for, a couple days, 2-3 days, and ask questions and really see the full experience in that as well. So that's going to come up later this quarter or the beginning of next. And I think we'll do that once a quarter. And if you give us your email, we'll go ahead and we will send you the tickets for that. All right. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget, don't forget, don't forget.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. Alan Richtman is just kidding. You're not going to die. But we'd love to see you over at algofactory.tech. Learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro. And we will see you Tuesday morning, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. EST. And watch out for the market update on Sunday. You will see that if you just pay attention to the channel. Like, subscribe, notifications, all that stuff. See you next time.